Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Faster Delivery Pipelines at Scale with Continuous Testing. This event is produced in partnership with LambdaTest, and special thanks to our friends at Telstra Ventures. Thank you to everyone who's joining us this afternoon on the webinar. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'll be serving as the moderator. As always, we want this event to be educational, and we encourage your questions there in the questions pane. Many of you have already found that pane there and said hello or good afternoon. We appreciate that. But we do want your technical questions on today's topic. So as the presentation flows, if you think of something that's on your mind, maybe you're trying to, develop some new applications and you're encountering some bottlenecks, it's just not scaling as well as you'd like. We want to hear about your challenges, and we think we've got a great solution here that can really help out. So keep those questions coming. I'll talk about our best question prize here in just a moment as well. We also have a couple of resources there in the handouts tab that I want to call your attention to. There is a link to LambdaTest.com where you can learn more about today's solution. There's a lot of great resources on there. There's also a link to the LambdaTest sign up, and you'll be learning about that in the webinar today. And then finally, at the end of the event, I'll be announcing the winner of our Amazon $300 gift card door prize. If you're watching this on demand, of course, that drawing has already occurred. The prize terms can be found right there in the handouts tab. And then, as I mentioned, we also have our best question prize for an additional gift card, an Amazon $50 gift card. Of course, you have to ask a question to be entered into that, and we're looking for some great questions. Again, like I said, we want to hear about your challenges and help you to solve them in the area of delivering new applications and continuous testing. And with that, it's time now to kick off today's webinar. I'm excited now to bring in our expert presenter. Welcome, Mudit Singh, product specialist at LambdaTest. Mudit, it's great to have you on.
Really nice to be here as well, David, and really appreciate you, everybody taking the time out, connecting with us today to hear more about the webinar. And also special thank to Actual Tech Media for organizing all of this and connecting us together. And Telstra Ventures, of course, for backing LambdaTest and helping arrange all of this, right? So I'm really looking forward to the webinar. And as David mentioned, feel free to ask any questions. I'll be happy to help you out at the end of the webinar.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Mudit. Go ahead, take it away. Tell us about how we can, deliver our applications faster with continuous testing.
Awesome. So let me start off with a simple introduction. I am, again, as Davis mentioned, I'm Director Product and Growth here at LambdaTest. And for past nearly 4 years, I have been doing a very deep dive into testing, test automation, and overall test culture. And for past 10 years, I have been working in the overall software development field. So, but today we're going to talk more around continuous testing and how and why it is important. I'm going to discuss more around what are the specific challenges that people face around continuous testing, building up continuous testing, and in the end, scaling them up. Right. So we are also going to do a little bit into how these challenges are solved. And at the end, we'll be focusing more on how LambdaTest as a platform can help you out in this overall continuous testing. Right. Again, as Davis mentioned, any questions you have, feel free to add. I'll be happy to take them at the end of the slides. Right. So let me get started, right? To start off with, I want to first set a context on what exactly continuous testing is. And of course, we cannot go to continuous testing until unless we understand what exactly the test automation is. So yeah, I understand a lot of people here are from the tech background. They do understand what exactly test automation is. It is not a new thing. It has been around for since the people are developing softwares. And but it has changed a little bit due to our new agile development methodology. So right now, nearly all web and mobile apps are being developed using agile. That is more of an adaptive design. Fast go-to-market is very fast. There are a lot of advantages moving in agile. You can silo the teams into smaller structure and get more productivity out of it, and at the same time have a faster go-to-market and based on your user reactions, you kind of build up your app or website based on the user reactions, right? So it's a very adaptive approach. So agile is now the most, or if not the most popular way to develop web apps. Usually enterprises do not follow complete, or I will say 100% agile. There is some kind of variation of it, but in a broader category we can define it like that, right? So in agile, creating a new feature is very easy, it's very fast. Anytime somebody has to develop a new feature for the app, it's they start gathering the requirements, they start designing it, they start developing it, and once that feature is tested, they kind of deploy it, right? But for the for the tester, that process is a little bit difficult. Why? Because they not only have to test the new feature, they also have to test the old feature, right? And as more and more sprints progress, as the application kind of increases, the size of application increases, these number of features that have to be tested, they kind of increase as well. And ultimately the number of features are so large that it becomes really impossible to test it manually or one to one. So programmers, being programmers, want to save time, they kind of introduce another set of program whose job was to kind of test the core program. That was what we call right now automation testing, right? And eventually people started focusing more on the automation side. As new features was developed, people were started creating more and more automation tests of each and every use case. So people have started to realize that, why, if we already have an automation testing in place, why run those automation tests only when we are going to do a testing phase? Why not run those automation tests even on other phases as well? When we are developing, we already have the test in phase, so we can already get a feedback of what our developer effort has been through these automation tests. We can also, when we are doing, let's say, deployment, we can get a feedback of what has been the effect of a deployment through these automation tests again, right? And this is what we kind of bring to our shift left approach. So earlier, whenever a new continuous development, continuous deployment, or a new continuous testing cycle starts off, people starts with creating code, then they use that code to do building, then they build their complete application, they test it specifically either on a state server or deploy it on a QA or dev server, and then move it to the production side. And this process continues again. We use some kind of git or version control repository in between, and the cycle goes on. But automation kind of started changing that game. We not only started testing whenever a new build releases, we also started testing whenever a new build is even built, right? And the processes, build even did not go to the testing phase until and unless it passes through a set of automation tests. Similarly, people then started to realize, all right, if we can do that kind of testing even at build phase, why not do that kind of testing even at the committing of the code phase? So whenever a developer now commits, a set of automated test runs, and once those tests are passed, then only that commit is kind of merged in the overall code repository. And this kind of put the onus of writing, and not even writing, like onus of running the test towards more of the development side. So tests were are being run at a very early stage. That gives a very fast feedback to the developers on how the overall development quality looks like. They get to find bugs faster. They can get to improve the quality of the product faster. So this is actually what shift left revolution was all about. But yeah, we are even in a mature stage of shift left, and right now no company kind of does a complete shift left approach as well. People do test early, people do commit test run at every commit, but at the same time people also start running tests after every build, after every build is committed to, let's say, a state server. They are also doing that. So it starts off with a small unit test, and then to integration test, and then to end-to-end test, right? So that is usually what continuous testing is all about. Every time a new commit is being done, every time a new build is being kind of created, every time a new build is being deployed, we are running tests at the same time to ensure the quality of the product. And that is where that is actually all about the continuous testing. But at scale, this type of testing starts to create a lot of challenges, and these challenges are would be very difficult to address at the later date. So it's very important for enterprises to kind of building up best practices, building up best way to tackle these challenges early on, right? So let me highlight few of the most challenges that I faced. So in past, I will say 4 years, I got a chance to interact with a lot of developers, a lot of companies of all sizes. So our platform is suitable even for our freelancers all the way till Fortune 200 enterprises. And I got a chance to interact with all of them. I got a chance to connect with high productive teams at companies that are that have like in 100 or 2000 testers, and they are running tests across really big and mature products. And at the same time also get to connect with new startups who are starting off their automation journey, who are starting off their automation writing journey, and kind of doing that initial go to market as well. So based on all of that context, I can kind of there are of course a lot of challenges when it comes to continuous testing, but these are the core challenges that are found among these people. So one of the most important ones is of course who writes the test. This is a time and time again this kind of challenge open up, whether the developers have to write the test, whether the tester, we have to create a dedicated testing team who writes the test. Another challenge that comes is related to test curation. So what tests to be run, when they have to be run, how they have to be run, that is again a big challenge. So I'll go into all these challenges as well, highlighting how they are affecting. And one of the most important areas where the people are facing challenges is of course the test infrastructure. So at scale, whenever we are running a tests for, let's say if I want to run test at every commit, what that means is that after every commit, I would need infrastructure to test all of my past features. Initial level, it's easy, but when you have, let's say, 10,000 or 20,000 tests to run, engaging that kind of big infrastructure that is being set up in-house becomes a challenge. Again, that is something I want to highlight later on as well. One of the another challenges is traceability. So here I'm not talking about test traceability. That's easier thing right now because of all the test management tools, all the let's say test reporting tools that highlight which tests are breaking. Here traceability, I'm referring to which commit of the code kind of is breaking up the test. So end-to-end tests are usually very notorious in when it comes to traceability challenges, because they are not able to highlight which part exactly of the commit are able to break the test. That's where unit test comes into the picture. Again, there are other challenges when it comes to traceability. I'll be able to highlight them right as well. So coming on to one of the first challenges that people face is writing test cases itself. Usually this is a I will say a cultural paradigm, right? Who is writing the test, or who is kind of owning these tests? Are they developers who should own the test, or are these testers who should own the test? So earlier it was easy because all the testing was happening at the end of the phase, where all the there is a separate silo team of testing whose job was to ensure the quality of the product, but after the development has been done. But due to agile, that kind of barrier started to shift, and there was a phase when companies required developers to even create codes for whatever they are developing for running automation tests. So there was a time when a lot of companies were asking their developers to build up the test, and the job of testers was to ensure, do exploratory testing, do end-to-end automation testing to ensure that the quality was there. But as that part also progressed, there were few challenges, pushbacks, specifically from the developers who do not want to run tests. Like there was a, I will say, there has been an ingrained culture where developers consider, testing is not my job. My job is mainly to kind of create the product itself, not run test over the product. And that required companies to kind of do a cultural shift. So this is a very age old problem, and one of the best solution of this problem is to kind of do a cultural shift inside and ensure that this is more of a team effort. So right now in modern teams like Google and Twitter, there is no siloed testing environment. There is no siloed development environment. There is one team whose job is to involve both development and testing efforts from the get-go. They are in the same team. There are specialized developers and there are specialized testers, and they both collaborate together even before the first line of code is being written, to understand how this kind of work can happen, what the developer should do, what kind of development and code effort should happen, and how that code would be tested. The testers had now full kind of a full involvement in overall development cycle. And there is earlier there used to be a very separate testing sections with is being headed by kind of test architects, but right now they are kind of a same part of the same team. So solution architects kind of work with senior test guys or senior test architects to kind of understand what should be the architecture of the test code or the test platform itself, even before the whole development process starts. So once the solution architects build up the product solution or architecture of the product, they also starts building up the architecture of the testing mechanism itself, right? So it's more of a very collaborative effort that is happening right now. And people who are at mature stage, this is something that can really help them out to kind of increase their productivity. And the people who are, let's say, starting off in this phase, this is the one of the most important aspects for them, is to not create siloed testing teams, but in fact make them part of the development process from the get-go, right? But one of the most important aspect of this is that companies should kind of empower both the developers and testers, so that they are not blocked in testing. They should have complete access to, let's say, testing infrastructure, testing codes, and platform to run those tests anytime, any place they require. So empowering both developers and testers at the same time is kind of, I will say, new shift that is happening. Earlier, testing infrastructure was something that was looked down upon. It had, I will say, limited funding that was provided internally, and more efforts was built on the development side. But now that has been changing. People are working more on ensuring that both developers and testers have all the tool sets, have all the infrastructure that need to ensure that the quality of the product is happening. Right. So who writes tests? Ultimately, the answer to that solution question is that it should be both developers and testers working together. So another challenge comes is related to the test curation, right? So as your platform grows, as the number of features in the platform grows, the number of test cases that may have to run kind of increases, and it increases very exponentially. It does not increase. So for example, if I'm adding one feature, it requires three tests. But if I'm adding, let's say, three features, it will require three multiplied by three tests. So it may require at least 27 tests. Add more features, it kind of increases the number of test runs that have to happen, kind of increases as well. So when your scale kind of increases, the number of test cases that you have are kind of increases. You would have to run a lot of type of tests. You would have to run a lot of type of tests at different stages, and sometimes that starts to become a challenge. At scale, running a lot of tests is a big problem. One of the biggest problem in that part is, let's say if I'm required to run 10,000 tests after every commit, or if I have to require even 100,000 tests after every commit, the process becomes very slow. It requires a very massive infrastructure. So let's say I'm running 10,000 tests. Each test take a minute to execute. Executing all those tests would require nearly 10,000 minutes of execution time, right? So that's hours and hours. And even if I run those tests in parallelly, I would need a massive infrastructure that is highly scalable, and that is required, let's say, for one specific time of day to run those tests. And to do that, it becomes prohibitively expensive as well. Now, because these tests were running slow, developers get their feedback a little bit late. So let's say if a whole test suite took 5 or 6 hours to run, developers have that 5 to 6 hours delay in getting the feedback of the every commit that happens. And imagine in a company where there are, let's say, hundreds of developers, each one doing commit every other hour. This becomes like really, really expensive to run. Another challenge that happens here was to do the traceability of the development code. So testing everything at the get-go is really bad way to kind of understand what part of the commit is breaking. If we are getting the feedback of a commit after 5 hours, we won't be able to trace back, let's say, after every 200 commits that are happening in between that 5 hours, like which one was breaking, and if it was breaking because there was no conflict, right? And this ultimately increases the time to market. This has been a challenge from day one when automation started. Was in fact, when testing started, that testing used to be the most time consuming thing, and that kind of reduced the speed of running delivering products, right? So having a good infrastructure or a good process and a good platform in place, overall platform in place, and integrated ecosystem in place is really important to run those to kind of deliver the tests very fast. So what are the solution usually that people take? So one of the important solutions of this was, of course, the developer intuition. I will not say this is a perfect solution. This has a lot of loopholes. So what happens is, instead of running all tests, developers kind of choose which test to run based on the type of test they are running. So they understand, okay, if I'm making this commit in a code, this may result in this kind of changes in the code, and hence these tests may be the better suited to understand if they are breaking or not. It works if the developer is extremely knowledgeable about the overall platform, has end-to-end understanding, is very experienced. But in most of the cases, this kind of thing does not work at scale. If you have, let's say, hundreds of developers working on one big solution, that process of depending on a developer's intuition does not usually work, and that's where test curation usually happens. So test architects, solution architects, everyone get together, understand what is happening, like what kind of code commit breaks what kind of tests. They kind of create a heuristic analysis all of this, and based on the service over which the commit is happening, they create a set of tests that is gonna work, that kind of does a first smoke check of that commit across the overall build. So this happened at Google, this happened at Spotify, this happened at Twitter as well. Creating a process at the first level to identify what service is being worked on, what are the areas this service gonna affect, and based on that, set up a curated list of tests for each and every service. And any commit that happens may or may not there's a possibility, yes, that it's gonna break in the end after integration tests, but that's where end-to-end big tests are required, right? But another way to kind of break this down is to do a unit test and an integration test. Unit tests are small set of tests that are happening at a small set of features rather than complete overall test. But that also kind of created a challenge for this. So there has been a big debate about how much unit test has to be done and how much end-to-end test has to be done. All of this again requires massive infrastructure to run that test. So unit tests are something very easy to do. They are fast, they have a great traceability, and but the challenge with them is that they do not simulate a real life user. So this is a image that I kind of took from a Google blog. So Google had the same problem as well. They were working on building up a test infrastructure to understand how to properly trace which commit or which uh, thing was kind of breaking the overall test, right? And they first decided it that yeah, we need to do unit tests. Then they went on to decide no, unit tests were not giving the kind of result that we wanted, that kind of simulated the real infrastructure, that kind of simulate the real user, how they are going to use the platform. So what was the solution to that problem? That is what right now kind of defined in what we call test pyramid. So test pyramid is I will say a model where you are running all tests. It kind of defines how which number of tests you are running at which stage. So usually in a what I will say idle test pyramid structure, which Google adopted, let's say in 2014, was that they were doing a lot of unit tests, but let's say they were doing around 40 to 45% unit tests, 15 to 60, 15 to 20% of integration tests, and rest was end-to-end tests. But doing that, they started to realize that unit test and running end-to-end test was giving them more results, and they wanted to cut down on the integration tests because having an end-to-end user-based feedback was more important. But this is not a structure that is, I will say, applicable across all product lines. So for example, Spotify, these guys are more worried about the integration tests. So they are working on what we call an honeycomb test pyramid model, where they are doing more of an integration test rather than the end-to-end test and unit test, right? And of course, this is also what something changes based on the type of product you are building, based on the type of product architecture you have, and the type of services that you are testing. So for example, I found this tweet by Ken Dodd. So there he recommends doing more of an end-to-end testing with a framework like Cypress or Selenium, and at the same time doing a test using just in the integration test in the early phase, right? So it again depends upon what kind of architecture your platform has. But I recommend, if there are a lot of front-end pieces, end-to-end tests are more important. If there are a lot of back-end pieces, a lot of stuff that is happening in the back-end, API tests and unit tests are more important, right? So another challenge that comes was that when the cost of finding bugs early was very cost effective, at the finding bugs at the later date was a very big challenge, right? You cannot find any, if any bug you find at a very later stage, resolving that bug became a very big challenge. And as you kind of saw in my all the previous slide, one of the biggest challenges of running the testing at scale, or running the tests at a very I will say massive capacity, is what we call the challenge of infrastructure. So infrastructure is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to, let's say, continuous testing or running continuous testing at scale. You have to, specifically for, let's say, a web and mobile app, you have to ensure that your application is working across all the browsers, all the browser versions, all the mobile browsers that your end users may be using. And to do that, you would need access to all this different type of infrastructure or different type of configurations, which at scale is very challenging. Let's say this is a problem that is still persists, right? Even in current decade, even in 2021, this is one of the biggest challenges. Setting up an in-house device lab, let's say, of this proportion is very expensive. Let's say if I have to test my website on all the mobile browsers or all the mobile devices that my end users may be using. So to do that, I would have to test on all iPhones. I would have to test on all uh, Samsung devices that have been launched, let's say, in past 3 to 4 years. So every year, Samsung launches around 17 and new devices, and iPhone launches around, Apple launches around 6 different type of iPhones. And that's just tip of the iceberg, right? There are Xiaomi's of the world, OnePlus of the world, who are launching new mobile devices every year. 6 to 7 different versions of Chrome come out every year. 6 to 7 versions of Firefox come out. And since Microsoft has switched over to, let's say, Chrome based version, there is new Edge version coming out every 6 months as well, every 2 months as well, right? So setting up a in-house device lab, in-house infrastructure lab, just for running testing, is not only expensive, it is also time consuming, and it is also very difficult to scale. So what is right now being required, right? So the trend says that yeah, everything is kind of moving to cloud. We earlier talked about CI/CD pipeline, and nearly all the CI/CD that is happening right now, like continuous build, continuous deployed, they are being done through CI/CD tools like Jenkins, Circle CI, GitLab, and these guys are also right now a cloud-based solution. There is right now very fast release cycles that is happening, and there are now a lot of DevOps processes that require that yeah, all of this testing becomes part of the main stack as well, that we want to create the testing as a part of a cloud-based solution, and we want to bring it all the processes to the cloud, as we have bring the development deployment processes to the cloud as well. Again, for shorter test cycles, this has kind of increased the demand, because running in a cloud-based solution requires again access to, let's say, a big set of virtual machines to run your test, and that's where kind of Lambda test helps out with, right? So we are an online infrastructure provider where we are providing you an access to different type of browsers, browser versions, mobile networks, and kind of end-to-end automation testing platform, where you will be able to ensure that your website and web app is working perfectly. Our platform is kind of integratable with all enterprise level CI/CD tools, and our aim is to kind of enable all developers, testers, and anybody who is building, let's say, complex enterprise apps to test at scale with confidence, and at the same time reduce cost, increase delivery speeds, and in the end overall does the improve the quality as well, right? So what we are exactly providing, we are providing an online cloud based software as a service platform that has 2000 plus different browsers, browser version, desktop and mobile browsers that you can use to run both manual and automation tests. It's a very scalable platform we have built using microservice architecture. So at a click, we add new features every other month. Adding new browsers, new browser versions, new operating system is very fast at our platform, and you will be never and scaling up at platform is as simple as doing a click of a button, right? So we help customers reduce their overall time to market by giving them a platform that is fast and reliable to kind of ensure that their tests are being run in a fast and less flaky manner, right? So why we are better? So we are an highly scalable and reliable platform that is also secure. We are also SOC 2 compliant, and we are also GDPR compliant. We have the best support system that there is. So if you go to our website, you will see there is an in-app chat support, and anytime you face any challenge, we'll be there to help you out at a very fast speed. We have the best support response times over there. So we are one of the best part about our platform. As I mentioned, we are built up using a microservice architecture with the latest tech stack, and that ensures that when it compares to, let's say, legacy solutions of similar type, we are much faster than them. And because our platform is have like better infrastructure in the backend, the flakiness that comes because of infrastructure does not happens at our platform. And scalability is one of the another important aspect about our platform. With a click, you can move up from, let's say, 550 machines to run tests on 100 machines, right? We are as scalable as that. Setting up, we kind of replaces all in-house test environments, in-house test devices, and we will be able to help you out and bring the whole test ecosystem to the cloud platform. So what we have is, we have a set of four, I will say, core solutions. That is a live interactive functional testing solution. So here we are providing you live access to different type of browsers, browser versions, machine over which you can perform your testing of your websites or mobile apps or even mobile sites live. We are also providing you an automation testing cloud. It will plug directly in your current automation scripts. Not much changes required, only 3 or 4 lines of change. So instead of running your current Selenium or Cypress or JavaScript based test scripts, you'll be able to run them directly over LambdaTest platform with very few modifications. We also have feature sets that kind of help you in visual regression testing of your websites. That is, we provide you a feature set that will automatically takes up a screenshot after every test execution. And we also have a small downloadable desktop utility called LT browser that will help you do mobile view testing. It's free to use, free forever to use. You can go ahead right now, download it and start using that platform. So coming to our live interactive testing platform, it's pretty simple. What we are doing is we're providing you direct access to a browser configuration of your choice. All you have to do is enter the URL, select the browser configuration that you want to run your test on, and click on start. What we will do is we will provide you live access to that particular type of machine. So for example, I'm a Windows user. If I want to run test on, let's say, Safari. So Safari is not compatible with Windows. I need either Mac laptop or kind of purchase a new Mac laptop. Yeah. So, or I can come to LambdaTest. Here I can select Safari. I can select the Safari browser version that I want to run test on. I can select the macOS version I want to run the test on. And you will be provided direct live access to that Mac machine over which you will be able to perform interactive testing. Everything is similar as if you are running tests on your local machine, right? In manual testing as well, one of the best features that we provide is we provide integration. So our platform is integratable with many project management and bug management tools that include Jira, Asana, Slack, Trello. So any issue that you find during your testing in Lambda test, you can take a screenshot and send it directly to the project management tool of your choice. We are the only platform that provides out of the box geolocation testing as well. We have 50 plus countries that you can toggle with and see how your website performs across different geographies. So it's part of the package, no extra cost. We are the only platform that are providing out of the box geolocation testing as well. Right. And during the test, you can also take a complete screenshot of the page and send it to your project management tool. The next set of feature that we have, the core set of feature, is of course the automation testing. So this is what continuous testing, where the continuous testing comes into the play. We are providing you a online automation testing grid that you can use to kind of run your current Selenium or JavaScript based test scripts by doing minimal changes in your current tests, right? The best part is that you can run your tests in parallel. So what that means is you can use 100 or 200 machines at the same time. So earlier when we're talking about that, yeah, we had 10,000 scripts to run, and running all those test scripts at the same time would have required, let's say, execution time of 10,000 minutes. But if I had subscribed to, let's say, 100 parallel sessions, that whole script would have been executed. If I had subscribed to, let's say, 10 parallel sessions, 100 parallel sessions, that 100 tests would execute at the same time, and that will cut down my overall test execution time by a factor of 100. So the whole script would have taken just 100 minutes to execute, right? Less than 2 hours. If I had subscribed to 200, that whole script would have taken only 50 minutes, not even 1 hour, right? So the number of parallelization kind of decreases your overall test execution time. In addition, we also provide you a lot of features. So that means anytime a test is executed, we automatically records all the logs of those tests. That includes Selenium logs, any console logs, raw logs, and at the same time, we also take a screenshot after execution of every Selenium command. So in your current setup, whatever reporting framework you have, whatever results you get out of those test execution, we add over to it. We add more information to those current test runs, and enable the developers and testers to have a better understanding at which part the test was failing, which through screenshots, through live video that has been recorded of that test execution. And we also do a lighthouse report test of that particular page that has been tested. So you also get a performance feedback of the page, and all of this data can be extracted or imported through your other platforms through our REST APIs. The best part is that our platform is compatible with your complete tech stack that you may be using right now for your running your automation testing. It kind of becomes a plugin, a plug and play model inside your current tech stack. Not much changes required. Our platform is compatible with any Selenium based, WebDriver based, and framework. And we are also compatible with Cypress. We are also compatible with any programming language based framework like WebDriver IO, Protractor, TestNG. So whatever framework you have, running those same tests at LambdaTest platform would require 2 or 3 lines of changes. Our platform is also compatible with all the CI/CD platforms. So if you are using Jenkins, we have a Jenkins plugin. If you are using Circle CI, we have a Circle CI orb. We have a GitHub action that will help you run your test through GitHub actions directly. And at the same time, we are integratable with a lot of project management tools. So the same thing as I mentioned when we're talking about live interactive testing, live manual testing, is that our platform also for automation as well interacts with project management tools. So any issue that you find during your testing, you'll be able to send that issue directly to Jira, Asana, or any project management tool that you guys are using. So we are complete part of ecosystem that kind of helps you execute tests anywhere there are, and give you feedback of those running tests. Also to add, we are also compatible with most of the popular codeless automation testing platforms as well. So Catalan, XNNHQ, Leapwork, Selenium IDE, we are compatible with them as well. So we are as I mentioned earlier, we are a platform that is agnostic. Based on the company sizes, we kind of support all industry segments and all enterprises sizes. We have people who are using our platform ranging from freelancers all the way till Fortune 200 or Fortune 1000 companies, including Microsoft, Amazon, GE, who are using our platform extensively for running those tests, right? And of course, the best part is that you can sign up right now. It's free to use. You will get 100 minutes of free automation testing, and you will be able to run few tests over there. But as I mentioned, the best part about our platform is our support. So you can come to our platform, click on the support, and anytime you face any challenge or need help with onboarding, or maybe need one-to-one demo of the platform, or need help in onboarding your present scripts to the platform, we'll be there to help you out with a click of a button, right? And that kind of concludes my core presentation. I'll be happy to take questions that there are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great presentation, Mudit. Really appreciate that. I want to point out to everyone out there the link to sign up for the 100 minutes of automation testing is right there in the handouts tab. It says Lambda Test sign up. So make sure that you check that out. It's now time for some Q&A. We've got a lot of great questions coming in. If you have something on your mind, you're wondering exactly how this would work or how it would integrate, now's the time to ask. I'm going to go ahead and start with this question from Matt, who's asking, how granular are the metrics for testing?
Cool. So when it comes to the matrices, I'm assuming here like what kind of features are being tested. So again, it depends upon the type of application there is. So I have seen tests that are being created just for doing one button. For matrices, for let's say getting a feedback of those tests is again also dependent upon the type of platform you are building, what kind of testing has to be done, and what kind of feedback that you want to get those tests. When it comes to, let's say, Lambda test platform, what kind of metrics you get for testing through Lambda test, we provide you a line by line kind of a complete Selenium log of each and every command that is being executed. You also get a screenshot of every Selenium command that gets executed, or every JavaScript command that executed, so that you will be able to debug at the get-go. So let me know if I'm missing any context here. I'll be happy to take a follow-up for this question.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, thank
So the
you.
next question,
Yeah, go ahead, Mudit.
awesome. So I think the next, Next question is from Ned. He asking that does the Lambda test support legacy browsers? Yeah, so we have support for latest and even legacy browsers of Safari, Opera, and Internet Explorer. We have Internet Explorer 11 all the way till Internet Explorer 8, I think. And for Chrome, for example, we have from latest 90s version all the way till 16th version, right? So very legacy versions of Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Yandex, Opera, Internet Explorer we have as well. So
Nice.
yeah, another question here from Bradford. Bradford is reports generated by LambdaTest distributable to multiple individual? Yes. So we have support for that. So you can download the reports that are generated via a PDF that you can share. You can also extract all of this data through APIs and build your custom distribution plugin if you want. Or you can also we also send an automated email after execution of every test, so to give you a highlight like what failed, what passed, so that can also help you out in distribution. All right. Next question from Warren is: has your company been used in education institution? Yeah. So, in fact, this was one of our findings as well. Suddenly, we got a lot of users from Caltech, and it turns out that our platform is a part of our project that they were doing, a part of the course that they were doing there. So, Lambda Test is used in education institution both as the testing platform for doing their internal application testing, and also as a part of their course structure as well, where they are educating new testers on how the different type of platforms there are to help them scale up their tests. Cool. Another question related to Bradford is every test run individually traceable to commit number, author, code, error, location based per build? So at Lambda Test platform right now that does not happen. So we are more of a infrastructure platform that helps you run the test. So doing a traceability of every commit is something that is an onus of the organization running the test. We just provide you a browser or a machine over which that testing is being run. So usually this is what the challenge is that is being solved through processes, identifying how the kind of test run is being curated in a way that you can identify with let's say a test name itself to identify which area was breaking, right? So usually this is a challenge that is being solved through the company processes. So yeah, another question is related to the front-end unit testing, which requires a HTTP request, how we can improve the performance. So when it comes to front-end, I will say the for performance side, one of the best reports that you get is from Google Lighthouse reports. Again, this is a little bit broader question, so there's a possibility I'm missing out the context. I'll be happy to connect with you one-to-one to understand your use case in detail and help you out with the solution, right? So just let's say quick answer for this is that do a Lighthouse report test to understand what exactly in the front end part is breaking, and that will give you an idea of how those can be improved. Lighthouse gives a very detailed reports on the different parameters that are being tested. When it comes to unit test as well, the best part is that Lighthouse has an API that you can leverage to do this kind of test, right? So unit test in addition with Lighthouse, that can help you out for the performance aspect. Again, there's a possibility I'm missing out the context. Feel free to reach out to me one-to-one. I'll be happy to help with that answer, right? So, yeah, this is very interesting question by Ted. Like, what is the rationale of delivering faster pipelines when this will only introduce more bugs into the testing environment, right? So, uh, that is another area where Google researched a very lot. I'll be happy to share links to those Google blogs as well, where they were identifying like what were the challenges faced during, let's say, test environments. What were the challenges faced when that was being moved to production? So one of the most important factors was doing testing in the testing environment that is kind of very similar, if not equal, to the production environment. Another challenge that they find was the challenge of flaky test, right? So when it comes to testing environments, one of the highest number of bugs that were found over there was because of the tests were even flaky. They were not giving the right results. And again, the challenge of that part was related to there are again four ways why the test can be flaky. One of them is infrastructure that again lambda test solves, and one of those main important areas was the that infrastructure that you are getting for running your test was not perfect across every test. So running one test kind of introduces new I will say data inside each machine, which kind of conflicts with the older test runs. So any cookies that may have been saved, any registry edits that may have been done. So it's very important that every time you run a test, you get a very pristine new clean environment to run those tests, and that kind of introduces new flakiness in the test, that kind of reduces the flakiness in the test. And that is what also lambda test solves. We provide you pristine new clean machines every time to does the kind of testing, right? Another question from Bradford side is, does Lambda test have access to code during? So again, we do not have access to the code, or we provide you the infrastructure or which that code is being run. So security wise, we do not have access to your code. We do not have even access to the test data that is being run in the code. We only get access to we only have a, let's say, a connection with your code, in the sense that the Selenium gives an encrypted command to the lambda test machines to execute. So we have invested very heavily in ensuring the security aspect. So once you request a machine to run a test, that machine is solely assigned to you, and once the test gets executed, that machine is completely destroyed. So any data that may have been there in that machine is completely erased before that machine can be assigned to somebody else. All of this is an automated process, and at no time other than the tester gets an access to that machine during the test run or after the test run. So we have ensured that security aspect, and at no point lambda test is kind of storing any code or any let's say any test runs during the whole process, right? So yeah, so LambdaTest is a subscription-based platform. So this is a question that was asked by Wu. So yeah, LambdaTest is a subscription-based platform. We kind of integrates with a lot of legacy system applications as well. Will be, but to properly understand this, we would have to connect one-to-one to identify what the application process looks like. If it is using some kind of WebDriver or WebDriver based framework in the backend, there's a possibility we'll be able to run those tests at Lambda Test platform. But feel free to reach out to our support, and I'll be happy to help you out with your use case. Right? Uh, a question asked by Adam is, do you have a listing of user reviews or recommendations? So yeah, Lambda Test, you can find, just search on Google Lambda Test reviews. You will find reviews of our platform on G2 Crowd, on Captera, all positive reviews, all 4-star above. And anytime you need any help with more recommendations or any references, feel free to reach out to us. I'll be happy to help. Davis, is that all, or I'm missing out on something?
You've covered a lot of questions. I mean, there's a few left there. If you want to take a few more, we have time for just a few more. But we've covered a lot of them.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if you want to wrap up at this point,
No, no. So I'll be happy to take more. I think we have still five,
yeah,
10 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Uh,
yeah. There's
I'm
there's one from Gilbert
kind
here
of.
on
All right, go.
how do you resolve serialized tests?
Side effect from one test are required for following test. All right. So this is another challenging area where this is usually how end-to-end tests kind of looks like. So right now at the platform, one of the ways that using our lambda test apis, you can set up pre-run executables. That is, you can define the state of the what kind of information should be there in the machine before a test is being run. So you can define uh, before running of the test, like this should be the state of the machine, this these parameters should be available. We have APIs for that, so based on that you can do a serialized test. Another good way is to execute the whole test on a single machine, right? Run it such a way that the whole test is kind of running in a single machine, and that will also work, and kind of manage that serialization through the framework itself. I'll be happy to connect with you, Gilbert, one to one to understand the use case. Free feel to reach out to the support, right? We'll be happy to help.
Excellent. Another question here, they're asking, are you able to simulate across different types of platforms and processors?
So we are providing different type of operating systems. That is both Windows 10, 8, 8.17, in Safari as well. Many different type of operating systems. But for processors right now, that is not there. We are not able to. The platform is not designed in such a way that will be giving you access to different type of processors. Let's say for desktop. But when it comes to mobile, that is as per the mobile device standards itself, right? So that's covered.
Excellent. And then what about, they're asking what consultation support would be available to our in-house SDETs?
Right. So so that is again a good question. So we provide you support for all onboarding, all training that is required. But our automation, the support that we are providing, they are not just L1 or level one support. They are automation engineers themselves. So any help that the your SDETs will require in running the test, in getting the feedback of those tests, or even onboarding, we will be happy to help you out. We are very proactive in this field, so consider that you will be getting full support to run your test at LambdaTest platform and get a let's say better ROI of the platform. We'll be happy to support all of that.
Excellent. Another question here, Raj is asking, how is CI/CD handled in large, complex projects with multiple Scrum teams?
Awesome. So this is a very good question as well. So Lambda test kind of integrates with the test code rather than the CI/CD platform. So the large teams that are doing, let's say, multiple test runs across different CI/CD platforms, all of those will create separate tests that can be clustered in separate builds and test names. So when you are running tests at Lambda test platform, you can define a build name and a test name, and to kind of identify and manage those tests and ultimately get a result back based on those build names and test names, right? So it's even easier. So we do not have to be integratable with directly the CI/CD platform, just the test that is being executed. So it's managed directly to the CI/CD platform itself, right? So that's make the process easier.
Excellent. And then do you have parallel deployment apart from parallel test cases and build is another question.
So right now it is mainly from the parallel test that you are running through your framework or Selenium scripts itself. There is no separate parallel deployment. Apart from that, you can manage that through again through your scripts or CI/CD pipeline on how you want to engage those machines. So I think there's more nuances to this question that I may be missing out. So again, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to connect on a broader call to understand the use cases and help you out.
Excellent. Excellent. And I think that's a great point for us to wrap up. We're starting to run out of time here in our webinar slot. But before we go, Madid, I wanted to just share, your contact information there. If folks have questions about LambdaTest when it comes to getting started, should they just contact you there?
Yes, so you can of course reach out to me one to one on modetas at the rate of lambdatest.com. You can reach out to our support. There you will get a faster and more informative reply. As I also mentioned, we have in-app chat support as well. So if you need any help, just go to our LambdaTest website. The link is at the handout section. Feel free to reach out over there and we'll be happy to help you out with your use case, right? So that's also a very fast way to get answers.
Excellent. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I'm sure the audience did as well. This is a really cool product that you all have created there at LambdaTest. Mudid, it's been great having you on the event. Excellent presentation. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate you, David, as well for moderating all of this. Actual Tech Media to kind of organize all of this, and of course, Telstra to connecting us all. Right. I hope everyone, you guys got a chance to learn, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions for us. I'll be happy to help.
Excellent. Thank you, Murid, and thank you to LambdaTest and Telstra Ventures as well. Thank you to everyone out there in the audience for joining us. Make sure that you check out the handouts tab right there where you can sign up for LambdaTest, and also visit lambdatest.com to learn more about this continuous testing solution. And with that, it's time now for the announcement of our Amazon $300 gift card door prize winner. This is going out to Xavier Rodriguez from Texas. Congratulations. We'll reach out to you to deliver that prize. Thank you to everyone who joined us on the webinar. Stay safe. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.